let's talk about the final step, finishing your prints. This, as my students early on dubbed it, the fish tank looking thing, is our print washer, and it's going to remove the acidic processing chemicals that are still soaked into your print. Even after they've been in the holding bath, it still needs a final wash. Two reasons for this being arguably the most important step you'll do. One, it's going to make your photos last longer. Two, no matter how you feel about your photos, it's going to protect the rest of us from the acid that's on your prints. If you were to take your prints out of Mr. Holding Bath here and just stick them in a tray and bring them down outside to squeegee off and then put on the drying screens, the problem is all that acidic chemistry, even though you can't see it, it's going to leach onto those drying screens, and every single wet print that goes onto that drying screen afterwards is going to get ruined by the acid you were too lazy to wash out of your prints. So, not to make you feel guilty, but let's get this right? So to fill this, for a reminder, you do have all the instructions printed right here, but it's pretty simple. We're going to lift this hose up, and right here, just turn the water on. Pretty straightforward, right? This is going to gradually fill, and what you're going to see is that there's water coming in from the top of each of the individual chambers in this, and eventually when it's all the way full, we're going to lower this hose so that the water comes in the top and then exits through the bottom drain hose. And I've labeled it even with Sharpie marker. Drain hose, lift to fill, lower to wash. So the loading, or the filling process, you just want to do this when you are done with your printing for that session. Maybe you made half a dozen prints that you want to keep. You're going to save them all over here in the holding bath until you're ready for the final wash. Remember, this is analogous to our laundry basket at home. You wouldn't wash one sock at a time, so please keep all your dirty clothes until you're ready to do a load. And they'll last in there all day. It doesn't matter how many prints are in here. I think that's a frequently asked question I get. To move them over, you could rinse this. It doesn't really matter at this point. But you're just going to take them all in a stack. They're not going to stick together or anything bad while they're still wet. And then you can see I've turned off the water on the holding bath, and that's kind of upped the flow in our washer, so it's just about full. It is much easier to place these into the washer once it's full of water. Otherwise the prints sort of want to stick to each side of the little plexi dividers, and it can get a little maddening. So I'm going to zoom you in somewhat manually with my tripod here so you can see a little more of what's going on. You can see that it's flowing over the top. I'm going to lower that drain hose now and just set it right in the sink. And so now the predominant amount of water should be coming in from above and then going out the bottom. We don't want a ton of it just going out the top. And now I'm just going to take each of my prints and find one of these slots to slide it into. Technically this can hold two 8x10s in any one of the slots, but you know, unless you've got 40 prints that you're trying to wash, why not separate them? If they stick together, they're not as likely to come clean. You know, you aren't going to get the water flow they need. So this, now that the drain hose is lowered, is really washing the prints. You have wash times listed here. We're going to go 10 minutes for RC, and so we're just going to turn this timer to 10. Always go in the direction of set, please, on the working timer. I'm realizing that you couldn't see that when I did that. So this, we're just moving that to 10 minutes, and it's going to count down for us. You can use the wretched buzzer down here to remind you when it's done, and so what I like to do is I set that awful buzzer, it's really loud, and then I go and I clean up around my workstation, I put all my other stuff away, and usually by the time I've done that, you know, this stuff is all washed and ready to go. So while that's washing, I'm going to show you the other important thing, which is we need a way to carry them out which is actually clean. And so what you want to do is pick out one of the trays from this pile of trays over here. I would look for one without a whole lot of residual silver in it. But then in addition, let's pivot over here. You've got this, this hose, right? Rinse it off. Do not rinse it in the holding bath, because what did we learn about the holding bath? The holding bath has all kinds of fixer water in it because that's been its job. So, so we want to actually wash out this tray of any just sort of general residual chemicals, you know, because these are the trays that we use to just view our prints during the printing process. So don't forget to rinse that with fresh water, and then you can bring it back over here to our washer, and you'll have something to transport your prints in when you're done that has not got all kinds of extra grody fixer water on it. So that is pretty much the conclusion of that step. I'm going to show you how to take them out even though these prints aren't done yet. All you do to shut this thing down is you turn off the water, and the video instantly gets more legible, right? And then you can just sort of stick your fingers in between the slots and fish them out if you've got skinny fingers. If you don't, I have repurposed an old piece of a tong, and so you can use that to fish them out. Just like when they went in, it's much easier to remove these little guys when there's still water in the washer. But do let this thing drain out. That washer does not need to be sitting here growing gross things because someone, you know, left it full out of convenience for the next person, and then nobody really communicated and it got left that way. So always drain this and shut it off when you're done. Too often we get excited and just yank our prints out and leave that thing running. So please don't do that. So now you're going to carry these out to the front for squeegeeing and putting on the drying screens, and that's going to be another video.